Hey guys, what's going on? Tyrauku here, and I hope you're all doing great. So today, I want to talk about something that I get asked a lot on the Twitch side of things, the YouTube side of things, Discord side of things, and I see it asked all over the place all the time, and that is gearing. And most importantly, I want to talk about sets, when to worry about them, when to not, and then I want to go through 5 tips and kind of things I keep in mind whenever it comes to gearing champions, and things I definitely recommend you guys consider as well. Hopefully, this helps you out in some way and you take some value from it. If you do, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Now, before we get into this, one thing I want to make clear is that when it comes to gearing across all different accounts, it's very difficult to give a one size fits all. It's actually impossible because it wouldn't make any sense. If you're a brand new player, getting a 5-star rare piece of gear is amazing. You're going to use that piece of gear for months to come. Whereas if I get a 5-star piece of gear, 5-star rare piece of gear right now, it's basically an instant sell because I can get such good and such consistent 6-star rare pieces of gear from farming stage 20. So once you get to farming stage 20 of dungeons, those 5-star rare pieces of gear are going to start being phased out for you. But that's kind of the example I wanted to give, that when you're early game, the gear is going to be different than when you're later game, of course, and what you keep and sell is going to be different. So giving a one size fits all is very difficult, but hopefully this video helps you at least make some decisions on your own so you can decide what to keep, what not, and when to gear each champion each different way or a certain way, and where you can make sacrifices if they are needed to be made. So first off, let's talk about set bonuses. So set bonuses are a very, very popular topic that I see people asking about all the time. So my overall idea with set bonuses are, if you can get the set bonus benefit from your substats or the main stat, don't put a crazy amount of weight into that set bonus. What I mean is these HP, attack, defense, speed, crit rate, accuracy, things like that. If it comes at the cost of reducing your other stats, don't try to chase just completing the set. There's some sets for certain champions, like say Sathalia, for example, okay? Perception. She's a champion who needs accuracy and she needs speed. Same thing goes with Stagnite, any debuff champion. This is a fairly new set, but this is a set where you could maybe make some sacrifices on the top row. Maybe you don't have the best substat rolls. Maybe they're actually pretty bad. Well, if you complete this set, you get an extra 40 accuracy and you get extra speed. These are both stats you were looking for in the substats anyways, but they may be more beneficial if you get them from here. However, don't be afraid to break the set if you can get better substats somewhere else. For example, this glove right here, I can get 41 accuracy just from this. I'm literally getting this accuracy bonus from one piece of gear. So in this case, well, I'm going to break that set, or break one set, because I have a broken set here. It's a relentless, so it takes 4 pieces to complete the set anyways. So there's no way I'm going to be able to complete this set right here. So I went ahead, put this on there, and then I'll just put something else for the helmet that'll end up giving me more overall benefits. So depending on where you're at in the game, you may or may not be able to make that swap, but just keep in mind, if you can get the stats from the substats or the main stat on your different pieces of gear, don't put a crazy amount of weight behind the set bonus. Now, the flip side of that is things like lifesteal. Yeah, if you want the set bonus, you have to get the 4-piece set. You can sacrifice some stats to get that set bonus, but you definitely want that set bonus, because if you can't go halfway, you can't get 2% lifesteal from a substat on your piece of gear. So don't worry about that. Definitely, you can make some sacrifices for things like lifesteal. If you're going for fury, if you're going for things like relentless, if you're going for things like savage gear. Now, each one of those comes at the pros and cons, of course. So if you're going for relentless, and this is a big one, a lot of people, I think, put too much weight behind relentless sets. Remember, relentless only has an 18% chance to give you an extra turn, I believe. So it's not like it's not a guaranteed chance, okay? If you don't get that chance to proc, it's wasted, right? But if you do get that chance, it's amazing. It helps out a lot. But if you don't have very good relentless pieces of gear, and you're taking like a 10 to 20,000 HP loss, and maybe you're losing 500 to 1,000 defense, you're losing some speed, think to yourself, is it really worth it? Is the RNG on this set worth the guaranteed loss of other stats? Now, things like immunity. Maybe for immunity set, you really want this immunity for 2 turns. So for here, you can take that little bit of stat loss for the extra benefit that you wouldn't get from anywhere else. Regeneration, similar things. All these 4-piece sets, you got to kind of weigh out the pros and cons. Shield set, if you're putting this on a champion, it's probably because you just want their HP really high. Well, if you put this on somebody and you lose a lot of defense while putting this on them, maybe it's not a big deal because maybe that champion's just being brought in mostly to give a big ally shield for everybody. Okay, so think about your roles, and I'm going to get into that in a few more points about when it comes to a role of your champion and understanding what they're made for and then gearing around that. But number 2, I want to talk about do not sell bad sets. Okay, so most players know, and if you start the game, you'll probably figure out pretty quickly. Obviously, if you're watching this video, you've probably already started the game, but you'll figure out pretty quickly, if you don't already know, there's a few sets in this game that are basically trash. So the curing set is one of those sets that are typically known to be pretty bad. There may be a use for it. I don't know the use, to be honest. Same thing with the cursed set. Both of those sets I've tried to find a use for, and it's kind of stretching it if I actually put somebody in that and say there is a use for it. I don't like stretching it out too far. I'll reach for some things, but the curing set, I don't think I can even make sense of it. Same thing with the cursed. So with those sets, while they may be bad in and of themselves, like if you go for the full 4-piece set, that doesn't really matter, because if you get pieces of gear from dungeons, wherever you're getting these sets, they could have really good subset rolls. So at least consider rolling them to see how they roll, because you can fit these in to places where you need a broken set anyways. So talking about point number one, don't always chase sets. These pieces can fill in where there's a broken set. I mean, this piece of gear, this curing piece of gear, is no different from a speed piece of gear if they're both going to be equipped on a champion where it's going to be a broken set no matter what. Because obviously, if you have 3 2-piece sets equipped on somebody, but you take off one of those, so if I had all perception gear here, but I took off this perception chest plate and instead put on a curing chest plate, well, that means I'm going to have 2 sets. I'm going to have the shield and boots, and then say the weapon and the gloves. But since the chest was replaced, even if I had a perception helmet here, I'm not getting any benefit from that helmet. That helmet could be curing, it could be relentless, doesn't matter what it is, because it's not a matching set. So if you're going to break a set, any piece of gear can fill that void, basically, fill that missing position. So keep these pieces. If you get decent pieces from dungeons, decent pieces from Forge, wherever it may be, keep them. I've especially seen people selling a lot of the resilience gear. And while this may not be the best set in the world, there's some really good rolls you can get. I got defense. I got some really good pieces in the set, actually, that I equip on a lot of my champions. So 24% HP, 18 speed. These are good pieces of gear. So don't instant sell it. You can definitely use them in a broken set, and it makes perfect sense. I mean, as you can see right here, this is a broken set piece, 41 accuracy, which literally replaces the perception piece for me. So this is perfect. Keep that in mind. Don't sell bad sets just because it's a bad set and you don't think you'll ever use it as a full set. You probably won't use it as a full set, and you don't have to. Now, number 3, I want to talk about understanding champion roles. So when I say this, what I'm meaning is, let's take Scylla the Drakes, for example, okay? So Scylla the Drakes is a champion who she can hit fairly hard, okay? So her abilities have decent potential, okay? She's not going to be no nuke champion, definitely, but she can bring enough damage to help you speed up your runs a little bit. However, if you're a relatively early game player, a mid game player, and you're looking at Scylla the Drakes and you're thinking, okay, how should I gear her? All right, well, she has debuffs on her A1, her A2, her A3. She revives an ally with 50% HP and places a 50% ally protect. So this says, hey, I'm probably gonna need some HP. She's gonna be reviving somebody, places an ally protect on her. So I'm probably gonna want Scylla the Drakes to be pretty sustainable, pretty tanky. So equip HP and defense percent on her. Maybe HP percent, defense percent on the chest plates and gloves, whichever one it may be. I have a little too much HP here, but when it comes to her abilities, basically she's a support champion, okay? She has some debuffs to place, stun being a massive one. So you're going to want to build her with HP, defense, speed, because you want her to go fast, you want her to go frequent. She has a very good debuff. She has good kit in general, but you want her to go fast, be tanky, and apply her debuffs. Do you want her to do damage? I mean, yeah, if you can build her to do that, and you can keep all the other stats intact without making any sacrifices, go ahead, build her to do a little bit of damage. But when I'm talking about picking out her role around your gear, build her around the gear you have available. If you decide, hey, I want my Scylla Drakes to be very sustainable, I want her to be a good support for the team, build her tanky, build her fast, and build her with accuracy. Don't put crit rate gloves on her so that she does a little bit of extra damage. Because remember, if she's a dead champion, she's doing nothing. Okay, if she's alive, then she's bringing all the benefits of her skill kit, the most benefits now she brings. Now, a champion like Ray, all right, she's a very good damage dealer. She has some debuffs. Well, if you don't have enough gear to give her accuracy to say 200, don't do that. Don't build her to apply her debuffs, because while she does have some debuffs and they're decent, especially the freeze, pretty good crowd control, but if you can't make sense of that, build her to do damage. She's a very good campaign farmer, and you may not be able to get her to do campaign farming if you've stacked too much accuracy on her. So basically, the main thing I want to say here is don't spread yourself too thin when it comes to building your champions. Keep one focused goal in mind and then build around that if your gear permits it. And if you find that champion to be one of your favorite champions, maybe go above and beyond and build them a little bit better. For example, if you want to Seal the Drakes to be like a super stun CC champion, you could throw her in a stun set. If you wanted to be a super stun CC champion who did damage, you could throw her in a stun set, give her over 200 accuracy, throw some crit rate gloves on her. If you could get 3,000 to 4,000 defense, that'd be perfect. But most people don't have that kind of gear. So scale it back to what your account has. Keep that in mind, and then build your champions around what your account has versus strictly taking suggestions from other people who say this champion can do damage, put them in crit rate gloves. While they may be able to, that's really not their role necessarily. Same thing with Drexstar. He can do some damage. You could build him to do some damage, but his role is not to do that. His role is to apply debuffs. His role is to burn the enemies. And if you can get him some crit rate, perfect. But it's pretty unlikely. And honestly, I've never built mine to do crit rate, crit damage. I don't really think it's worth it. I mean, there's too much sacrifices. I do have this necklace. I don't really know why I have this necklace. I think I was playing around with something. But that's pretty bad, to be honest. So I'm going to go ahead and switch this out for something that's going to give me a little... Oh, I was trying to put some resistance on him. That's what I was doing. A necklace had a little bit better resistance. Besides that, let's go into number 4. So point number 4 is number 4 is weapons, helmets, and shields. So what I want to talk about these is weapons, helmets, and shields are amazing when you're trying to finish those sets. So things like lifesteal, well, really any set at all, but especially those 4-piece sets, having these top row pieces of gear are very, very helpful. So you can go into the campaign, you can farm those top row pieces of gear to go ahead and help you finish out those 4-piece sets, or if you're working on, say, matching a perception piece of gear. So for my Sathalia, for example, if I wanted her perception set to be complete, I would go into the forge, I would look for a helmet. I wouldn't try to forge a new pair of gloves or anything like that for her. I would look for a helmet, because weapons, helmets, and shields always have the same main stats. It's very easy to get a good weapon, helmet, or shield, whereas the bottom row pieces of gear, the gloves, the chest plate, and the boots, they can have different main stats as well as substats that could make the piece basically useless. So when it comes to Sathalia, I'd go in here, I'd put a helmet charm in here. Now, you're not guaranteed to get a helmet, of course, but let's just say I want some accuracy. I would forge this. Maybe I get something good, maybe not. Maybe I could use that. It has some speed on it down the road. But you just keep forging this until you get a pretty good helmet. Maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. But it's a lot easier to get a top row piece of gear to finish a set as compared to a bottom row piece of gear where you have so many different variables which come into play whether the piece is good or not. Fifth and the final tip is roll rare. So upgrade rare and epic pieces to 8 or even 12. So I mentioned this a little bit earlier, talking about don't sell your bad pieces of gear. But when you roll a piece of gear to 4, let me show you guys, you don't lose any money if you decide to sell it. So let's go in here to the champions and we'll take these pair of gloves, okay? So the first upgrade is 900. So 900 plus 1500. 900 plus 1500 plus 2950. We're at 5350 right now. And then 5350 plus 4400 equals 9,750. That's how much it's going to cost us to upgrade this. And it's a guaranteed roll every time up to level 4. So say I don't like this. I didn't want attack percent on my HP gloves. So what I do is I go in here. I mean, this is flat stats. I don't want this anyways. I press sell. It's going to sell for 20,000 silver, okay? So I've invested 9,750 and it's selling for 20,000. So it's a very easy thing to do. Just go ahead and roll it to 4. You're still making a profit. You're not losing out on anything. Assuming you have the silver to make the initial upgrades, it's perfectly fine. But go ahead and roll up to 4, see what the subset is. In this case, I don't want that at all. So I'm gonna go ahead and sell it. That couldn't be good, even if it rolled double speed afterwards, because this set just doesn't make sense for what I'm trying to build. Just in general. I mean, flat HP, maybe if it was on a speed set, in a like triple rolled speed that could maybe be decent. I could put on my speed booster or some fast champion possibly, but in the life set, it just doesn't make sense. Now, upgrading to level 8 doesn't take that much more silver, especially since the chances on each upgrade are pretty high still. You're looking at, these are guaranteed. So you can see right here, the upgrade chance is certain. Once you get to level 4, the chances I think go to high. Yeah, so it's high. First attempt there, first attempt there. Okay, so we're taking probably 2 or 3, hopefully not too many. But you can see here, it can be a little bit more expensive, but even then, I mean, it's not going to be crazy more expensive. So maybe at least roll it to 8. If you have a little bit of silver, roll to level 8. I don't know how much silver we wasted exactly, but if I go in here to sell this will sell for 30,000. So not a big loss no matter what. Definitely keep that in mind, guys. Roll your pieces of gear before you sell it. Think about your champions before you equip them. Keep all that stuff in mind whenever you're gearing your champions, and you should come out with a lot better gearing overall. So if you guys have any questions, leave them down in the comment section below. Let me know, did this video help you out? Did it shed any light on some things you were curious or confused about anyways? Thank you all very much for watching. Don't forget to check out the live stream, twitch.tv/Tyrauku. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, leave a comment, and I'll catch you in the next one.